He should be able to step out across and leave pretty soft. Again, I want his right front to leave out. Now he can't because the other horse is in the way. Get that. Now he'll just have to leave straight because there's nowhere else to go. Good. Okay, now we'll stop that left front foot. Left front. Good. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There. All right, now I'm just going to lead him straight forward. Great. Get out of there, puppies. Aye. Good. So that's enough of that for a minute. Now I'm going to get my hands on him and just rub on him a little bit. Get down his legs. Oop. And I'm going to... There we go. Good. We'll just let him feel that for a moment. Good. I'm going to keep my hand on him. Work down his side. And my left hand is up here on his, to support him. To give a feel of my hand. And I'll just work on this hind leg. So I'll go ahead and just we'll go to the right hind first, and I'll just go ahead and put my rope on his foot here. I'll just let that rope come on there. Oops, jerked it out of my hand. There we go. Now I'll just let him wear it that way for just a moment, and it can slip or slide or whatever. I'm letting that Honda slide through my hand. I'll coil it back up and I'll just let him get used to it there. Get him on this side. Now here's where I think I got to commit to spending quite a little bit of time doing these things. Now I'll go ahead and just, I did this yesterday. I picked his foot up, put it down, picked it up, put it down, just get him where he can take that foot being taken a hold of. There, I'll put a little pressure on it. Now I got pressure on the foot, and now I'm running my hand down there. He can still kick forward or back. He can do whatever he wants. But it's just that pressure on that foot that kind of helps him to, it's not like, I don't know how to explain that. It's not like nothing to all of a sudden something. There's something already there, and it enables him to take the pressure of that hand coming up there and touching it. So I got to have enough halter rope here so I can get back there. And I'll just work down his leg again. But you can see how much difference that makes, just having that rope on there to get him where he could take my hand down there and take that. Now just let him get his foot back down, and just put my hand there and let him get where he can kind of take that, because he will fire it out there and kick at you. Good. Real good. Then I'll just lead him forward, get him used to that rope around his legs. But here's where he has to get busy enough and start thinking about things to get his mind on the thinking side of the brain, rather than having it completely on the reacting of thinking, well, where am I going to leave to? Maybe, see, that, and I'll just get him used to that, having that foot taken a hold of. From up here where I'm a little bit safe, I'll take that foot rope off him. Good. And I'll just touch him with both hands. Real good. See, that's real nice. We'll put it down. So that's a real good thing to do for this guy. Of course, Would have been a real good thing to do a year ago, or I don't know how old he is, 2 years ago maybe. I'll tighten this halter up a little. So that's the thing with me. Most people probably are a lot like when he got on the wrong side there, kind of got the whammy on me. And well, that brings me to a story. I can tell you another story. So I was at this horse fair in Arkansas, and it was a Searcy, Arkansas. It was a little bitty, no, yeah, I think it was Searcy, somewhere in Arkansas. And there's quite a few of us. It's kind of a B grade horse fair, I'll say. It wasn't a real big one. Not the big names weren't there. I was probably the big name, so there wasn't really big names. But there's a fellow there that had just been through John Lyons's. He'd been through John Lyons's training school, and he was a real nice guy. He hadn't been around horses all his life. He was pretty new to it, and he'd spent a lot of money becoming one. And so he was there presenting, and then there's another guy, I can't remember what that guy's name was. He had a TV show on RFD, and he was a real good looking young guy and had a real good way of speaking, but he wasn't that good of a horseman. And he was there, and I don't know who else, but anyway. And then so I saw this lady riding this mule around, and she was getting along. I thought it was kind of a good looking mule. And anyway, they're going to have this fellow that was John Lyons' guy. He was going to do a demonstration with the mule. So they bring the mule, and I told this other fellow that had the RFD show, so let's go watch this. I think it'll be fun to see how that mule gets along, or how they get along with that mule, and see what the deal is. So we went, and we were sitting in the stands, and this guy had a brand new white shirt on, I'll never forget. And it had all his logos and all his sponsors and everything, and real nice white shirt. And he's out in the big arena. He didn't have a round pen. And so he's gonna bridle this mule. He's gonna get him better about bridling. Well, pretty soon that mule, he's got him dragging through the dirt with his white shirt, leaving town. And he went from being pretty good to really getting good at getting away. And the guy, he really worked this guy over. The guy was trying hard. He'd never been around a mule, and that mule just, where the story came from is when this horse got the other side on me, and I got out of the wrong angle. Mules are just, they're experts at doing that and getting away from you. So this fella, they finally get a round pen, and I think he finally gets him bridled, and it was just, that mule really got good at pulling away. So that's fine. We go through a few days. Well, on Sunday, they have a deal where all of us were all working horses at the same time in the arena. And I can't remember what I had. I had something, and I got along just fine. And then I can't remember the other guy's name. He was in the round pen with the mule. And then the guy at the John Lyons guy, he was doing his thing. And this fellow that had the mule, and he is a real good talker. He was really a good talker, and kind of talked like he was the best in the world, and everybody else is should be listening to him. Well, I see he's having quite a bit of trouble with that mule in the round pen, and that mule's really gotten good. Now we've taken a mule, us clinicians have taken a mule that had probably no problems and created lots of problems, and he kept jerking away from him, and he couldn't keep a hold of him. So he asked me, he says, "Can I borrow your rope?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so. Do you know how to?" He didn't look like he knew how to use a rope to me, but he did. He asked for it, and so I gave it to him, and he got him caught somehow. And he was trying to get him haltered, and I hear this go whack, and then this mule kicked him hard, and he cussed, and he was hurt, and he was mad. I could just tell he was just fuming mad. So I said, "You know, you're hurting, and I know you're hurting, and I think, but if we let this mule get away with this, he's going to get real bad. Why don't you go take a rest for a while, and I'll take him over for a while and work with him until you get back." He said, "Yeah, that'd be all right." So I knew it wasn't going to work out for him. So anyway, I get this mule in there, and they got him where he's just turning and jerking away and getting the angle on you. Well, there's a fellow by the name of Terry that I had made mad several years before at a deal. He had a booth and he had all kinds of flags and halters and stuff, and I had made a comment in the booth that, well, even people that aren't clinicians now are starting to sell all this junk. And he heard me, and he really didn't like me, and he's really mad. And I'd kind of made amends with him. That was my mistake. And so he's in the stands, and there's a lot of people there, and I'm in the right against the bleachers in the round pen. And I say, Terry, would you mind going and getting me one of those halters with that 14-foot lead rope, and then bring me a flag, would you? And I'll buy them from you. So he goes and gets them, and so he comes back, and there's a lot of people there watching, and I say, okay, folks, and I learned this the hard way a long time before working with a mule. I said, okay, folks, now here's the deal. This is going to get a little bit hard here or whatever for a little bit, because we got to get this mule to quit running off and hurting people, or got to get him back to where he at least was. So I took him and I got that halter and I tied it like that, and it had a 14-foot lead, and I took it, and it was a concrete wall with a rail on top of it, like you see at a lot of stadiums or coliseums. And I took that halter rope and I tied a bowline in the end of it at the very end at about 13'6". And I stepped back, and the mule's here, and I stepped back, and I whacked him in the butt with that flag. And he took off, and he took off like a shot, and he hit the end of that halter rope, and it flipped him over. He stood up, and I whacked him again, and he ran and hit the other end of it, and it flipped him over.